All right. Jon Condo, thanks, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on with me. Obviously, you and I go way back, you know, to our playing days at University of Maryland. We had some good times, great years. Obviously, a lot of great memories together. And obviously, it followed you for a long time. You had a great year, great career in the NFL. But it all started back in Pennsylvania. Talk to me a little bit about your upbringing, right? Were you always a football guy? Did you dive into other sports? I mean, I feel like nowadays a lot of these kids specialize in one sport. I don't know about you, but for me, it depended on the season, depended on the month, right? I picked up a football in August. I dropped it for a basketball in December, and I dropped a basketball for a baseball in March or April, right? And then I was off to the beach until football season again. Tell me a little bit about how you got started.
Yeah, so I grew up a family of 4 kids. I was the baby. So ever since I was a young kid, my dad was a wrestling coach. Growing up. So I was always on a wrestling mat, probably since I was probably 4, 5, 6 years old. All my brothers were into football, being water boys. I remember being a water boy for the varsity team when I was in early elementary as well. And obviously playing Little League baseball and stuff. So I was very, very busy kid in a small town of Pennsylvania. So I grew up playing baseball, football, and wrestling. Couldn't tell you, like, my favorite sport is whatever was in season. That's what I was on,
Right.
And I never really, I think my goal as a kid, or a dream, I should say, was being a professional athlete. Either being a professional football player, baseball player, or wrestling in the Olympics. That was always my goal, probably early elementary, and the junior high. Never really thought that that was my dream. When I got into probably my high school days, it started to become a little bit apparent because the dream could become a reality because I started getting football letters and baseball letters. Not so much wrestling letters until later on, but freshman, sophomore year, playing up in the varsity levels and the junior and senior year. But I did everything. And I excelled at everything. I worked my butt off in school, out of school. Again, small town. You can't really get distracted, especially as a different day and age. There's a lot of distractions out there now. But I kind of stayed focused, on getting good grades, knowing that I wanted to go on to the next level, and that would obviously help me get to the next level. Is showing that I could, that I'm a good student first and foremost. But then, just playing the sports growing up, I probably my junior year, when my senior year, I was all state in football. I was an honorable mention baseball catcher, and I won a state championship in wrestling. And it was just, I don't know, I just really enjoyed every sport. And I mean, if you ask me now, my favorite sport is probably wrestling. Even though I went on and played, several years in the NFL. But if you ask me, my junior, maybe right at the beginning of my senior year, what I was going to do, I thought I was going to play baseball. Yeah. Had opportunities to play baseball, probably more so than football. But I just got an opportunity, from the coach staff at the University of Maryland. Right at the beginning of my senior year, they offered me a scholarship, and they loved my background as an athlete. They loved that I was a wrestler. They loved that I played baseball. They loved all that about me. They saw like a blue collar guy. They're like, hey, we know what we're going to get when Condo gets to town, because he's just going to come and he's just going to work. He might not be an all-star or all league, all conference, or anything like that, but he's just going to work. And that's what we want our team to be made up of, like the backbone of the team. So, but fortunately, I chose football more so because, I kind of looked at my future and said, okay, when I'm 30 years old, I could play in a hardball or a senior baseball league, where the old men play. And even when I'm 30 years old, I could be a wrestling coach and still be wrestling around, on the wrestling mat. But when I'm 30, you don't see a lot of people putting on a helmet. I know there's like semi-pro or adult leagues with football, but that was definitely not what I wanted to do. So I decided to play football. And I redshirted my first year, and it felt like it was going well. I wasn't even a long snapper. I was an outside linebacker. They recruited me as a linebacker and got in, and I was underweight, and needed to build some strength. So I redshirted my first year, like a lot of freshmen do, and it was probably going into after that first full year of my of the first year down in College Park, where there was a long snapper that just graduated, and then another long snapper was having some academic issues, and the team was kind of like, crap, we need to find someone who can do this currently on the squad. So my brother Kurt did it in college, and they kind of took all the linebackers and some of the tight ends and offensive linemen and just, threw everyone up there and see who could do it. And that was, they're like, well, you're the best at it right now. Just keep working on it throughout the summer. And I did. And the next thing you know, first day of camp, Brooks Bernard's back there as a punter, and they're like, Condo, you're her best guy.
You're snapping.
You're a snapper. And I thought it was awesome. I thought it was awesome because, like, wow, like my first year that I'm playing in with a Division I football team in the ACC, I'm going to be playing. Duke, not that Duke had a good football program, but North Carolina, Florida State, Virginia, all those top schools in the ACC, and I was tickled, man. In my first game, I mean, Julius Peppers lined up over top of me, that I played. Remember. And it was just like, wow, that's so crazy to think that a small town kid can be doing this. And I loved it. It was awesome. And then I think it was probably about week 5. We were undefeated, week 5 or 6. I realized, well, right before the Georgia Tech game, or maybe a week prior, I realized I just became a specialist. I mean, I'm sitting over there with Novak and Brooks Bernard, and I'm just hanging out with them. They wouldn't, the coaches wouldn't let me to play, do scout team because they didn't want me to get hurt.
Right.
And I realized, I'm like, man, like I'm a specialist now. And I had a hard time adjusting to that. I didn't like, because I grew up playing 3 sports. I was always active, but now it's like I get, a 10-minute, punt period on maybe Tuesday, and then a field goal period there, and then running scout team, punt team. And it just wasn't in my DNA to just sit on the sideline.
Yeah, right.
Just chill out. I mean, that's not it. And I actually remember having a conversation with my father who, about potentially transferring. I was like, listen, Dad, like, I'm not having fun here. Like, I know we're undefeated right now, but this is just not who I am. Like, I don't care if I go and play D2, D3. I just want to play. I'll go and walk on at baseball. I go walk on, find a wrestling program. I just want to be active. And fortunately, he was a man, a loyal man, and he was about commitment. And he just said, listen, you signed a 4-year deal. And the coaches did as well. And I think if it was up to me, I would honor that commitment that when I signed, put my name down on a piece of paper. I think that your word means something. And kind of put that guilt trip on me a little bit. And then I said, you know what, you're right. So I continued to do it. And Coach Friesian would always, after my second year, maybe, he'd always look at me and he's like, John, you can make a lot of money doing this someday. And I would just I don't know. I kind of roll my eyes.
Little did you know at that point in time.
I'd roll my eyes and like, man, Coach, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. But
yeah.
I mean, so Coach Friesian, if you watch this, I mean, you're right. You can make a lot of money doing this, and things happen. And fortunately, towards the end of my career at University of Maryland, we got some backups, and I was able to play some linebacker, which I think the coaches rewarded me doing that. They thought that it made me happy, and didn't get a lot of playing time, but I had some reps in there and blowouts and and some dime package and stuff like that. But I mean, it just prepared me for the NFL. My walk of life through college, well, obviously through growing up as a kid and getting on the varsity sports, and then obviously college, it just prepared me for my life in the NFL. And I can honestly say that just how I prepared for everything, my commitment to work hard. I mean, there's no substitute for working hard. And it might not pay off, with the sport that you're working hard for or whatever, or the test that you're studying for, but it does prepare you mentally for the next obstacle or the next set of adversity that you face sometime.
No doubt.
Everyone faces adversity. And it's just, the harder you work, that adversity, whenever it hits, the more prepared you're going to be ready to take it on. So
no doubt. Yeah, it was funny, how your college and obviously NFL career panned out. But going back to high school, didn't you punt in high school? Weren't you a punter?
Yeah.
So come on, man. You've always been a specialist. Who are you kidding?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. I remember I went to a Syracuse camp and I was, doing linebacker for the most part there. And, but I remember I went with the specialist and punted, for them. And I thought I did a pretty good job. I thought I was a really good punter until I got to University of Maryland and saw Brooks
Saw Brooks bang it.
I was just like, okay, maybe I don't think I could beat him out.
My God. Yeah. Brooks could bang it. Yeah. You said the word adversity, which really hit, which prepared you for that next level. Go back to high school, right? Talk about a little adversity that maybe you faced in high school. I know this is a tough question that may have prepared you for that next level in college, right? Obviously you go through things for a reason, right? And at the time you're going through it, no one ever can understand why you're going through it, right? But everybody hits adversity at some point in time. Our guys today, right? Even in high school, man, they're going through a lot. And you and I have been there, and we've struggled through our own adversity in those high school years. But it's only going to prepare you for that next level. Talk about, maybe some adversity, whether it was a loss, maybe it was an injury, whatever it was that kind of prepared you for that next level at the University of Maryland.
Yeah, I mean, really, some of my biggest gains were through losses, and I'm sure you could attest to that. Whenever you lose games, lose matches, you fail a test, you gain so much strength and so much fortitude to push on, and that does prepare you for what's next ahead. But I would say probably my sophomore year. I started out football season really well. I don't know. I did really good sophomore year of football, and then probably going into my wrestling season, I was a sophomore, but I was a heavier weight. I was probably weighing about 170, 175. So the majority of the guys wrestled 171. So the majority of the guys that you wrestle at 171 and 189, those were the weight classes before heavyweight. Most of them were upperclassmen, juniors and seniors.
Right.
Here, I'm a sophomore who probably had, I probably grew real tall before I started getting, muscle. So I probably, I was probably 6'2", 170 pounds, probably bench pressing maybe 185 pounds, maybe at that time. So here I was, wrestling varsity and wrestling all upperclassmen for the most part. And then I remember I lost going into the postseason wrestling season. I lost the elimination, or I lost the elimination for the 171. So I had to bounce up. Someone on my team dropped, and so I had to bounce up to 189. So postseason, I had to wrestle 189, which is even more. You probably wrestling majority guys are seniors.
Yeah, big time.
And I remember that sophomore year, my record was 23-12. I want to say, which is a good record. But I think out of those 12 losses, I think 8 or 9 of them I got pinned. And I just was outmatched, outstrengthed by these guys, and it was definitely tough on me during those losses. I always had success, and getting pinned that much in the season, it just never really happened. But I didn't let it affect me for the next season. That kind of fueled me to get into weight room, grow into more of a 189-pound body. And that obviously helped me, with football and baseball as well. So, but then the next year I ended up going, I don't know what my record, 32-5 maybe, but I took fifth in the state. So I just knew after that sophomore year, getting embarrassed by getting pinned that many times, I was embarrassed. Even though people look at my record, even my coaches, like, John, 23-12, as a sophomore wrestling 171, 189, I would have thought you would maybe be at 500. So you definitely exceeded your expectations, but me personally,
in your mind, it was adversity.
Oh yeah, and I was embarrassed, and I just knew that I did not want that to happen again.
Sure.
And it just
That's great.
And it forced me to even work harder.
That's a great example.
Get in the weight room. I just knew that I wanted to outwork. There was no one especially in wrestling and even football, training for football. I knew whenever I was working out or whenever I was snapping and trying to get better, there was no one at my position or opponent that was going to outwork me.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that was my mindset. I was going to outwork every single person. And
Yeah.
that and even now with my new occupation, I'm in real estate now. No one's gonna outwork me, and
Sure.
that's my mindset.
That's
So
great. That's great. That's fantastic. That's a heck of an example for sure. In your mind, you're thinking, I'm getting my ass kicked. This is adversity, but it's really preparing you
yeah,
for that next journey, that next level. And that's a great example, and something that our guys can learn from. Talk about your recruiting process, Jon, right? Are you getting letter now today? Letters are like offers, right? Back in our day, but talk about your recruiting process. Were coaches coming in and out of your door? Were they knocking on your door? Were they calling you? Did you have letters? What type of visits did you go to? How did you land in College Park?
yeah. So I mean, I was a 3-sport star, I guess, and I was getting letters for all 3 sports. Had some coaches calling and stuff like that, but it was probably my junior, even into my senior year, where coaches would come and watch me, whether playing football and wrestle. But I was kind of lucky because I grew up in a small town of Pennsylvania where it's like no coach is going to come to a small town. But fortunately, I was next to Penn State University, State College, and there was some good. There was a couple good recruits. There was a kicker there, and Tony Johnson, who's Larry Johnson's little brother. Played at Penn State. They both played at Penn State, but he was a senior. He was the same class as me. So whenever these big time schools would come in, they were like, "Well, there's this kid, 20 minutes away." So there's college coaches coming in. I actually had some Major League Baseball teams come in the high school doors to talk to me and stuff, doing the baseball circuits, going to tryouts and stuff to get exposure. But how I landed in College Park, there's a coach, Danny Rocco, who's still, I think, I'm not sure where he's coaching at, but I know he's in the DMV area, I believe. But he was a State College guy. Okay, I think he went to State High. His dad coached, I think, at Penn State back in the day, and he was on Ron Vanderlinden's crew at University of Maryland whenever in 1998, 99. And I don't know, he recruited me, and going down to the University of Maryland, Coach Loxley was a recruiting coordinator then, and I don't know, it just felt like home being there, and it allowed me to, it was 3.5-hour drive for my family and I to get down to College Park from Pennsylvania, and I kind of liked that at the time. Growing up, I thought it was gonna be it was a dream to play at Penn State. Fortunately, it didn't happen, but it did give me the opportunity, obviously, to go to University of Maryland, and being that distance away, it kind of gave me my independence, which I loved. And whenever I needed to get home, I could get home. But yeah, it was a pretty good process. And I told you why I chose football. It was probably sometime during my, I don't know, probably second, third, fourth week of my senior year of football, where I think I committed. I remember getting a phone call that they were going to offer me, and they said there's only one stipulation is of, hey, we offer you the scholarship during wrestling season. We want you to wrestle, but you cannot cut down to 189 pounds. You have to wrestle heavyweight. And that was my only thing. I'm like, I hesitated at first because I was about 210 pounds, and they didn't have a 215-pound weight class at that time. But I was like, I could do that. So. But yeah, that was the process, and it was fun. Especially whenever you're a freshman. Kids are probably getting letters now earlier than that, but a freshman, sophomore getting letters, throughout the country from schools and stuff like that. It's pretty neat. But yeah, all in all, it's a great process.
That's great.
Met a lot of coaches, obviously, who called me whenever they were allowed to call me. So it's definitely. I don't know. I enjoyed it, and kind of wanted to live in the moment and be present with everything.
Yeah. And so it's funny you just said that, enjoyed. We tell our guys to enjoy the process, right? It goes by like that, but enjoy the process. Like, these are all good problems to have, right? You're going to the next level. You're playing at a high level in high school. You're trying to get recruited to gain that next opportunity, but enjoy the process, right? At the time, again, it seems stressful. Right? Yeah. It seems stressful. You got coaches calling you. You got visits, unofficial visits, official visits. You're trying to figure out what is going to be the right opportunity for you. And I try to tell these guys all the time that the perfect opportunity will come at the perfect time, right? At this moment in time, you might not have a clue, right? But that perfect opportunity will come at the right time. And it's like, you just understand, to your point, when it feels like home, it feels like the right opportunity. And I try to tell these kids not to get stressed, because all their buddies might have all the offers in the world, or they might already be committed, or right, but you still got a lot of time left. Enjoy the journey, focus on being the perfect teammate, being the best you can be on and off the field, and that perfect opportunity will come at the right time. But it's really hard for these kids to look at it this way. But I always say, like, everything will fall into place if you keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, right? And that opportunity comes. So
no, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. Jon, one thing that I want you to leave us with is your time at University of Maryland, right? Obviously you had a great run there, right? And I was with you for a lot of that. 31 wins in 3 seasons, all the bowl games that we went to, the ACC championship. You and I were both a part of that, and contributed in a big way. Talk about, the memories that you had there, right? The brotherhood that we created, the teams that we were a part of. Like, give me some of your best, man. I know we got a million memories, right? But give me some of your best memories that really stick out, that no one can take away from us, right? And it's like, all the hard work and the blood, the sweat and tears, everything that we put in to that program, right? It all paid off, right? But give me a memory or two that sticks out in your mind that is like, man, I really cherish this and will for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them, because like by the time I stepped foot at College Park and started playing, I mean, the program just went from 4 and 6, 3 and 7 seasons, whatever, to all of a sudden 3 10-win seasons in a row. And it's just so many great games. I mean, there's few that stand out. Obviously, the bowl games, the Gator Bowl and the Peach Bowl, winning those. I just remember our special teams coach, Coach Ray, would just say, hey, whenever this game is over and whenever that confetti's falling over you and you get that hat, even though it's the cheapest hat ever or whatever, and it's stupid, you're going to put that thing on and you're going to be so proud. And he was right. That confetti's falling down, you put that hat on, and all that work that you put in, from the previous season and then especially that season, I mean, it's just like, you can finally exhale, and like it was all worth it. It really was. Like hugging everyone on the middle of the field after those games. I mean, you're high-fiving everyone. I mean, because it's so hard to win games. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to win college football games, especially conference games, and then to go to a bowl game. I mean, to win those games, we won against a West Virginia team and a Tennessee SEC team, where we dominated both of those teams, and we were hungry. We weren't happy just to make it. We wanted to go out there to show off our talents, because we felt that we were disrespected. Maybe not disrespected is the right word, but we wanted to show that Maryland was a team to be reckoned with. Especially moving forward. But
we were overlooked. How about that?
Yeah, I think we were overlooked, and we just we thought that we were one of the top teams in the country, for several years there, and we just wanted to prove that we were deserving to be where we were at. I know the Orange Bowl game, we fell flat a little bit against probably the team that probably
really good Florida team,
But I would say, and then one other memory, I mean, you sort of talked about it, the Georgia Tech game. It was my freshman year. We were undefeated. I think Georgia Tech was undefeated. Region just came, I believe, from Georgia Tech. And it was a Thursday night game. And, our team was, obviously we were undefeated, but we still I don't think we still knew who we were yet. We didn't have like some gut check moments or anything like that. And that game, there's a lot of adversity, and I don't know, we kicked a game-winning field goal. And I people ask me the question all the time when I have these interviews, what's your favorite moment on the team? It's like, whenever I have the ball in my hand, last play of the game, those are my favorite. Because it's not that it's up to me, because obviously there's a trio of us to make that kick. But, to have the ball in my hand, I mean, that is just, it's I don't know, memories that I'll never forget.
No doubt.
But
all good ones.
Yeah. And then one more. NC State. I mean, I don't think Phil Rivers. We were the only team that he did not beat in the ACC.
That's right.
the one game we played down in Raleigh when Leroy Ambush freaking got that out of nowhere. I mean, that was just unreal.
Yeah. Nick had to miss the kick though, to get to that point.
Yeah, and it's just like I mean, there's so many roller coaster rides, you know, especially in tight games, where it's so emotional. And to keep your emotions in check, just knowing that, hey, on to the next play. Don't dwell on that last play. You go on to the next play, because you never know when that next play is going to make the outcome of the whole game. It can be one play that can change the outcome of the whole game, and you just don't know what play it is. It could be the opening kickoff. It could be a PAT. You just don't know. It could be, the second down and 9 play that, that's maybe scripted, and it's like, you just don't know.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I think everything that you're saying hits home. I think what is most important of everything that you're saying is kind of the brotherhood that we created, right? Going through those roller coaster moments with all your boys, all your teammates, all your coaches, the staff, everything that, you live for while you're at College Park or while you're at your college campus is that's the beauty of it, and creating friendships and a brotherhood and relationships and contacts that you'll have for 22 years. I mean, God, I haven't seen you in so long, but obviously followed your career and have been close with you for a long time. And here we are 22 years later, and I don't expect that to end. So that's the beauty of, not only sports, but football in general, because you put so much time and effort into that sport that, you become close with these guys, and it never ends. So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, no, right on. Yeah, it's just the relationships that you make, during those tough moments when you're sweating, at the armory at 5 o'clock in the morning, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. You're building a brotherhood. You're building a relationship, and know that you can lean on that person. Maybe not on the football field, but even if you're having trouble, at home, or if you're having trouble, in class and stuff like that. I mean, when you're sweating, bleeding, and stuff with people, like that is just
no doubt
where you build those relationships.
No doubt. I'm gonna ask you to leave us with one piece of advice, right? Last question. If you were, a young Jon Condo, if you were to talk to a young Jon Condo, or talk to our guys, right, that are in the weeds right now, they're freshmen, they're sophomores, they're juniors, some of them are seniors, right? And they're getting ready to enter that next phase, right? It's more of the advice that, you're going to give to your kids, right? And I give to mine. It's as you're going through this process, just major advice that you've learned along the way, right? Along the way of this long journey that you've been on for a long time. One piece of advice that, you can give to our guys and leave our guys with, when they watch this video of like, man, what is it going to take for me to get to not that NFL level, right? You've obviously done it at a high level and you did it for a long time, but just that next level of playing in college, right? I'm a freshman, or I'm a sophomore, or I'm a junior. I'm getting ready to enter that college rank. That one piece of advice that you want to give to our guys of, man, if I had to do it all over again, this is what I would really do, or this is what I would really focus on or try to achieve.
Yeah. I would say, man, it's hard because I'm a big hard work guy. Like that's the one piece of advice that whenever I talk to the youth, hey, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up on your dreams. Just keep pressing. Adversity is always going to be there. So don't ever give up. Just work your butt off, because there is no substitute, to working hard. But I'm just trying to think of any advice that I'd give my younger self. It is a tough question. I mean, I think just.
And just your work ethic alone, man, you hit it as soon as we hopped on the call. Like, no one's ever going to outwork you, right? And I think alone that is massive because if you're going to outwork somebody, you got a pretty good shot of beating them, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that's huge.
And I think in today's day and age too, it's so easy to just hang out and be distracted or whatever. But I tell my kids, I'm like, listen, like if you approaching their schoolwork, I go, if you just go to school every day, and do your classwork, do all the homework, turn it in on time, I don't see you getting worse than a B, because today's day and age, I mean, if you just put in the work, I mean, you're going to get rewarded for it.
No doubt. And in the next level, it's all you got to do is show up and put time and effort into it, and you're going to succeed. So
Yep.
yeah, man, no, I appreciate all that. JC, look, this has been, it's been fun to watch you over the last few years, longer than a few years, but I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on this call, man. Our guys are really going to dive into it and absorb it and really learn a lot from you, man. So I appreciate you taking the time to hop on here with us.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's been great to catch up, and wish everyone best of luck.